Do you remember your remarks on the floor last year when you brought this up?
You'd have to give me a specific. I mean, I made a lot of remarks last year.
So I recall a story you told about your brother.
Okay.
And I remember you said that your brother called, or that your mother called you, I believe, to tell you that your brother had some news that he was afraid to tell you.
Okay.
And your brother wanted to tell you that he was gay, didn't he?
He was expressing that to the family, and he thought that we would hold that against him and not let my children be around him.
Why do you think he thought that?
I don't know. It never would have happened. I'll tell you that. My kids at that point in their life adored my brother.
Can I tell you, if I were your brother, I would have been afraid to tell you too.
Damn, that is a raw speech for current politics in America. That is Representative Ian Mackey talking about growing up in Hickory County, Missouri. He's going to get into it. Talking there with Representative Chuck Bassia. And look, there's a lot obviously that can play into the relationship between them that might have led to that conversation happening at all, let alone happening in such a public way. But this is a real thing. That said, let's jump into a little bit more of the comments in this.
Well,
I would have been afraid to tell you too because of stuff like this. Because this is what you're focused on. This is the legislation you want to put forward. This is what consumes your time. I would have been afraid to tell you too. I was afraid of people like you growing up, and I grew up in Hickory County, Missouri. I grew up in a school district that would vote tomorrow to put this in place. And for 18 years, I walked around with nice people like you who took me to ball games, who told me how smart I was, and who went to the ballot and voted for crap like this. And I couldn't wait to get out. I couldn't wait to move to a part of our state that would reject this stuff in a minute. I couldn't wait. And thank God I made it. Thank God I made it out. And I think every day of the kids who are still there, who haven't made it out, who haven't escaped from this kind of bigotry. Gentlemen, I'm not afraid of you anymore because you're gonna lose. You may win this today, but you're going to lose.
I absolutely love that. So look, the stakes right now is this bill to, like a lot of states, red states have been doing, to ban transgender athletes, specifically here, transgender girls from competing on girls' sports teams. It's bigotry, as was identified in that video. That's what it is. And specifically, Ian Mackey, back when he was in 2004, back when he was a high school senior, when he was in the position that now the trans kids are being victimized in the same way, Missouri passed an amendment to ban same-sex marriage with more than 70% of voters in support. That was 18 years ago. And where have we gone from there? Have we progressed from there? Have we evolved? That the bigotry, the homophobia is coming in a slightly different form, but the goal is the same. The demonization is the same, Brett. I love that defense there of Ian Mackey, especially saying that he's not scared of them anymore, that he's going to fight. This is what we need right now.
Yeah, and they're the same a-holes. The people voting to ban transgender athletes are the same a-holes that voted to ban gay marriage. They're the same people doing, I would argue, in many cases, whether it's in Missouri or Texas or Florida, the exact same thing. And what is that thing? It's not allowing other people to exist as themselves. That's it.
Yep.
And so when I hear people on the right say that we don't want big government controlling our lives, and then they pass laws that ban the discussion, the discussion of sexuality or gender, which is basically banning a discussion of who people are and objective reality. How are these the same people? No, It comes back to them being oppressive. And so when I see things like the banning of discussions from people on the right, all I see is hatred. And if you're worried, all those same people on the right are like, well, I just am afraid of that moment when we lose American democracy and the promise of America. That's it. The stuff they're always afraid the left's gonna do and ban and tell you how to be. How can you tell people how to be more than saying you can't have your own gender identity?
Yeah.
Especially when it affects no one else, and doubly especially when it has to do with like kids soccer.
100%.
Get over it.
It's so see-through.
Kids soccer sucks. It doesn't matter.
Well,
it doesn't matter.
That's beside the
Put them
point,
on the
but
same
yeah.
team. It's just going to be a clump of kids kicking each other in the shins.
Thank you. Anyway, glad to have this speech in addition to we had the prior viral speech responding to some of the grooming stuff. We need more of this. National Democrats, you paying attention? This is what's necessary. Also popular, by the way. Like, I'm not asserting that you have to do this because you really believe it, but it's also kind of a good thing to do for your side. Consider it.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.